The following is a visual reconstruction of historical events. No actual crime scene footage or original archival images are used. All visuals are AI claymation recreations to bring the story to life. September 1971. While the rest of London was tucked away in bed, a group of men were 6 feet underground, sweating under the floorboards of a Lloyds Bank on Baker Street. They were looking for the biggest payday in British history. This isn't a movie though. They tried to make you believe it was. This is the real story of the walkie-talkie heist. Every big play starts with a front. You don't just walk into a bank. You move in next door and act like you belong. Anthony Gavin and his associates didn't buy a gun. They bought a lease. In August 1971, they took over a leather goods shop called Le Sac, located just 2 doors down from the Lloyds Bank on the corner of Baker Street. While the neighbors thought they were selling handbags, they were actually moving 8 tons of dirt. They spent 3 weeks in the mud, tunneling 40 feet through the earth, passing directly under the chicken and restaurant. They worked only on weekends to avoid the noise being noticed by the restaurant staff, shoring up the tunnel with roof jacks and timber like a professional mine. You don't pull a job like this with amateurs. You need a crew that knows how to keep their mouths shut. The architect, Anthony Gavin, a former Army PT instructor and career criminal. He was the muscle and the mind who drove the tunnel forward. The specialist, Thomas Stevens, an electronics whiz who knew how to handle a thermal lancer, tool that burns at 3,500 degrees Celsius to melt through reinforced steel. The strategist, Reginald Tucker. He was the one who scouted the bank's interior, even opening an account there to map out the vault's floor plan from the inside. The surgeon, Mickey Gervais, that was his name on the street, because he worked with the precision of a doctor. Gervais was the expert responsible for disabling the bank's sophisticated security alarms. The lookout, Bobby Mills, a lookout stationed on a rooftop overlooking the bank. He was the voice on the radio, the one who would eventually broadcast their crime to the whole world. The job was a race against the sun, executed over a 48-hour window, while the city of London moved right above their heads. This was the timeline of the breach. Friday night, Plan A. They go in with a hydraulic jack. The plan was to use sheer force to punch through the vault floor from below. But the concrete was too dense, and the jack didn't have the bite they needed to finish the job. It was a stalemate with the stone. Friday night, Plan B. Thomas Stevens brings in the thermal lance. It's a terrifying piece of kit that burns at 3,500 degrees Celsius. They begin the slow, grueling process of melting through the reinforced floor. It's hot, it's smoky, and it's dangerous, but it's the only way to bite through the steel. The last resort, the crew had explosives on standby, the nuclear option. They were prepared to blow the floor to kingdom come if the lance failed, risking everything on a blast that would have shaken Baker Street to its foundations. Friday, September 10th, 9 p.m., the crew enters Le Sac. The team crawls through the 40-foot tunnel, reaching the final barrier, 5 feet of steel, reinforced concrete. Saturday night, 11 p.m., while the crew is inches from the loot, their rooftop lookout is chatting over the UHF walkie-talkies, half a mile away. Ham radio enthusiast Robert Rowlands picks up the signal. He hears the infamous warning, "Watch it, the pigs are around." Sunday, September 12th, 1 a.m., the bureaucratic blunder. Rowlands calls the authority. The operator laughs it off, calling it a prank. Rowlands doesn't give up. He stays on the line, recording the crew's progress. Sunday, September 12th, 2 a.m., Rowlands convinces the police there's a heist in progress. The police dispatch teams to check local banks. They actually arrive at the Baker Street Lloyds. They peer through the windows and check the main vault door. But the vault is locked from the outside and looks perfectly normal. Inside the vault, the crew hears the police outside. They freeze, tools silent, hearts pounding in the dark. Finding nothing out of place on the exterior, the police conclude it's not the bank. They leave the scene to check other branches, leaving the crew alone to finish the job. Sunday morning, 10 a.m., inside the box, the crew is finally through. They spent the morning smashing open 268 safety deposit boxes. Outside, police cars are screaming past Baker Street. But since the vault doors are still locked tight from the outside, the coppers keep driving. Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m., The vanishing act, the bags are packed, £3 million in cash and untraceable jewels. The crew retreats back through the tunnel, exits through the leather shop, and disappears into the Sunday London traffic. By the time the bank opens on Monday, the only thing left is a hole in the floor and a lot of very embarrassed detectives. By Monday morning, the crew was gone. They didn't just take cash. They smashed open 268 safety deposit boxes. They walked away with an estimated £3 million, nearly £50 million in today's money. Word on the street was the crew found insurance photos of private people and other confidential files. In our world, information is worth more than billion, and that silence spoke louder than the heist itself. They didn't get pinched because they were sloppy in the tunnel. They got pinched because they were sloppy with the paperwork. The officers didn't find them with a magnifying glass. They found them with a ledger. The police checked every lease agreement in the Marylebone area and found that the lease for Laysack had been paid for by a check linked to Anthony Gavin. Within weeks, the court team was in cuffs. Gavin, Tucker, and Stevens were sentenced to 12 years each. They did their time like men, keeping the real secrets of what they found in those boxes to themselves. You can't keep a secret that big in a city this small. While the majority of the money vanished into the London fog, the heat eventually caught up to the leaders. The crew began laundering the money through bookmakers and various fronts. Some of the jewelry was recovered in a flat in London, but the bulk of the gold and untraceable cash stayed in the underworld. Some say it was buried in gardens. Others say it funded the rise of the most powerful crime families in the 1980s. For the men who weren't caught, the Baker Street job was the ultimate retirement fund. So, there it is. A bit of sweat, a bit of luck, and a whole lot of silence. We appreciate you dropping by our corner of the neighborhood to hear the truth. It's a dirty world out there, stay sharp. If you enjoyed this little sit down, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the family. It keeps the lights on and the others off our backs.